Good morning. Good morning, good evening. Happy holidays to everyone. Hope everyone's had a beautiful holiday. And now that the holiday has come and gone, we can return back to what always is. And as we say, these holidays are not separate from everyday life. They're not to bring you to do something but one time of the year. But these events are friendly reminders to the self, reminding you Thanksgiving every day is about being thankful, showing gratitude, showing compassion for people who don't have enough, giving, not just receiving. Christmas, the birthdays, the holidays, all these things, constant reminders of things that we should be doing every day, things that are important every day. But these holidays, they come and go. Our man-made events, they come and go. And after they've left, we fall right back into the feelings of that which is not so important. Taking things too serious. Trying to get there first. So I've been asked by a few people now why I changed my profile picture to the Meta logo. And why am I supporting this corporation? But my message has not changed in 4 or 5 years. So what I've said years ago is what has been happening through this very year. And this is why I've said this year has been my best year. This has been my favorite year. Because I've finally started seeing progression on everything I've been speaking of. Everything that I've been saying is going to happen through my videos has been coming to light this year. And it's only going to rapidly increase next year. And again, I know the reason people aren't paying attention as of today is because this knowledge is not common knowledge. This knowledge is only for those persistent enough to find this knowledge. And that's where the esoteric doctrines have been birthed. The average person couldn't handle life as they knew it crumbling before them. Because the reality of it is, we are everlasting life. Life does not ever end. There is no starting point. You will never find the original man. You will never find the original creator, because there is no original anything. And that is our problem with the concept we have of ourselves. we still have only met ourselves as deep as our thought and as deep as our concept. And so day after day, we wear this heavy armor of thought and belief, and we cling to this thought and belief. We defend this thought and belief, and we will fight till the death over this thought and belief that we have of ourselves, which means we will physically watch the world and everything in it burn before we ever witness the demise of this thought and concept of ourself. But this is what spirituality is for: to taste the end before you've reached it, to reach the realization of death without actually touching the light. And this is where you will find deeper parts of yourself than you knew existed. This is why so many are still fighting a system that they believe exists out there. You may have seen many of the pictures depicting the cosmos inside of man's head, putting the stars, the moon, and the sun right behind the very eyes of man. And what these depictions are trying to illustrate to you is precisely who and what you are here. You can only be governed, you can only be controlled when you are under the belief that who you are is governing and controlling this. When you have fallen for this concept of yourself, that you are governing and controlling this, you will fall for the mirrored belief that there is something other than yourself governing and controlling this experience. But what I'm saying is no different than what Alan Watts has said and what many of these men have said. The greatest conspiracy is with who you think they are to be and yourself. The greatest and final conspiracy is with you and they, them and you. What you're mistakenly calling they, or assigning another entity to, is your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is very powerful, very relevant, because what it proves is action can be done through your vessel, through your being, without you being consciously aware of it. So if you've ever misplaced your phone and set it in a silly spot, if your mind was preoccupied, if you were in conversation, if you were preoccupied and you set the phone down, that was subconscious action. You were not aware that you were setting your phone down. You were preoccupied. And so the conscious mind is not aware. I set my phone down here. I am moving my hand. I am doing this. That I is the conscious mind of what you are consciously doing. So this is how we so easily become enslaved. I am this body, I am these feelings and emotions, and I want to escape these feelings and emotions from this place. And who runs this place? They do. This entity of they. But there's a very narrow wall between you and they. And that's why your armor is so heavy. You have to wear this armor every day. Defend it, protect it, guard it, and fight for it. That's what we do throughout our day. We're only looking for the stories, the information, the outlets, disclosing the information in accordance to who we believe we are. For instance, we still think this is something that we call reality. We've called this experience reality. And we're searching for the base reality. But we still have not understood that we are creating a reality No different than this one here. No different than this experience here. And this is the great misconception of this human concept we have of ourselves. We've asked all the questions. We've asked how we were brought here. We've asked what this experience is. And we've slowly answered these questions. But these are surface level answers, which is why we still are not satisfied, which is why we are still searching. We've asked what put us here. We answer God very easily. That's done. Next question. How did we get here? God. That's done. Next question. So we're just answering these questions with superficial, watered down, surface level questions. You're just slapping the word God onto everything. What put us here? God. How did we get here? God. What started with us? God. We're not actually answering these questions within ourselves. These events that we think take place outside of us are not actual events. They are representative of what's taking place within man. And that's why so many people are still trying to revolt against the government. A revolution was never people going into the streets and idiotically burning down their cities in which they live in which your children live in. You're harming yourself when you do that. It makes zero sense. A revolution was never the definition we've brought it to. And this is why we fail. And this is why we will fail. We could overthrow every government tomorrow, and we would still fail, because this is not what a revolution is. You could physically dominate every army, every force, every government, every tyranny, every system in place tomorrow. And what would happen is the next day, you'd have a bunch of cannibals, because you just erased the very system that was sending food into your stores. You've collapsed it. Because you thought you were fighting some entity, but you've only been fighting yourself. And since you've only answered your questions with surface level answers, you have not gotten to the root. Who are they? Who am I fighting? Let's go beyond the surface. Challenge yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. You can lie to me. You can lie to them and him and her. You can't fool yourself. And it's a bitter pill to swallow, knowing that you and you alone are what's in your own way. I was very frustrated with being told this in my journey, that my beliefs were impugning on my awakening. My beliefs and my thoughts were getting in the way of my awakening. That frustrated me. That confronted me. It was very hard to face. Why? Because you have to change. You want to see the change and see the world evolve? You have to evolve. These two eyes will only project what the mind believes, which is why so many focus on the power of the mind. You think that you see objects in this world. Hell, you even think the world of itself as an object. It is not. There is no physical place called the world or earth. There is no physical planets in space that they've sold you and shown. Yes, they are there. The planets are there. You can see them with a telescope. But you're not in a physical place. You're not where you think you are. You're not who you think you are. And we're only prolonging our own inevitability. This is why I say, we think we're creating artificial intelligence. We're only witnessing the creation of the human race. But we're not human, and we've never been human. That's what people are not prepared for. People are not ready for. You think there's going to be a merging with another race. It's going to be a merging with yourself. You're expecting another entity to meet you here. There will be nothing but yourself. There is no entity here. There never has been. You have materialized every entity into the form. The angels with wings, you drew that. You created it. You materialized it. The demon with horns, you materialized it. They came from you. All of these concepts have come from yourself. The question is, would you recognize yourself beyond concept, beyond disguise, beyond the veil, beyond the thought you have of yourself? Beyond the thought of yourself would mean memory. You only know of yourself because you memorized yourself. You've memorized yourself through this memory. You've memorized and known yourself only as deep as your thoughts, as your words. This is why death is going to be so hard for you. You exist in the words. You've memorized yourself as the words. So when these words go back to nothingness, you will be left scrambling for parts of yourself and left to find nothing. You're going to be scrambling for all these pieces that you've put together. I'm 5'11", black hair, Tyler, I work here, do this, do that, my family's this. You're going to be scrambling for each and every one of those pieces to put yourself back together. Only you won't find them. There will be no starting point. There will be not one individual concept of yourself. There will only be awareness, which is source, which is what everybody is trying to connect to and make it back to right now. Very few want to pay the price. So many online are just window shopping. They go onto this person's video or to that person's video or to this book or to that book, or they're going from this ceremony to that ceremony, or for this to that, from this retreat to that retreat. They're not serious. They're window shopping. They're flirting with the idea of awakening, but they're not serious. And in this journey, in this path, there is an ultimate price to pay to know this, to have this knowledge. And you must shed the light. Shed yourself to reach that prize. It's not a financial price, and it's not a physical price. It is a mental price that you and only you can pay forward to yourself. And I can see very clear, people aren't ready for this knowledge. They don't want it. You go on people's videos who are talking about energy updates, who are talking about chakra work, who are talking about charging crystals or superficial stuff. 1,000 views, 1,000 shares, 1,000 likes. This is where the crowd has gathered, which tells you something. Spirituality has brought forth a religion all on its own. And I would say 85% of these people are fooling themselves. You're terrified to leave the crowd behind. You couldn't make it without the crowd. You couldn't make it without all of these people in support of what you see. Because in this journey, you must leave the crowd behind. So many are looking for the collective. What's the collective think? What's the collective see? What's the collective believe? You're limiting and cheating yourself. Why do you care what the collective thinks? This is your journey into yourself. The collective has nothing to do with you. But what that is ego holding on, creating this concept of collective, others. There's others out there. It's not just me. And if I can just hold on to this collective concept, so along my journey, I may be losing my mind, but I have the collective here. The collective sees it too. The collective hears it too. The collective is with me too. It's not just me. Leave the collective behind. Kick that door sweep right out from under you. Kick that crutch from beneath you. You do not need a collective. I get asked almost every day what my religion is, what my belief is. Am I a Buddhist? Am I a this? Am I a that? And my simple response is, why does it matter to you? What difference would it make what I am to you in your journey? You're asking me for my belief to bounce off of your belief, to mirror into your belief. Why do you need this? Right within yourself, you have all the tools needed. You have the guide, the wisdom, and everything within you. You don't need me. You don't need anyone. I can tell you very simple that I most resonate with Buddhism. But again, why do you need this knowledge? Why do you need to know this? It does nothing for you on your journey. So I tell you this, and then you start looking into Buddhist books or Buddhism or these things. It makes no difference. Stay on your journey. Whatever resonates with you, whatever is leading you into your heart. The question and answer are both within yourself. So you could ask 100 people your most thought-provoking question, and not one of those 100 people can answer that question for you to leave you satisfied. And do you know why? Because you're not actually looking for the answer in someone else. You're looking for the answer in yourself. You are the question and you are the answer. That's how this universe works. It responds to us. It's like a video game where you're testing it out. You are the experience and the experiencer. And the only way to actually learn and grow here is to do and to fail. Or to act and to cause an effect. So we're still looking for the base reality. What started this reality? How did we get here? How did we get here? You're witnessing it. Metaverse. We're bringing all countries onto one place, one presence. You're answering your question for you. You're not a human being. But see, this is again, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. As soon as I say these words, they turn off my video. You're not human. You're searching for the alien and you have not found it because you are the alien. Alien means unknown. The reason the government can't disclose that they've found the unknown species to you is because it would collapse the current system that is undergoing everything. So they are slowly disclosing to you that the earth is not physical, the universe is not physical. We're slowly being led into the metaverse, into virtual reality and gaming and faster online experience. We're slowly bringing all places to one presence. I said this in my video 3 years ago. Soon we will not need airplanes to travel. Traveling will be a thing of the past. You will not travel physically ever again. One day. And today is that day. It is coming. It is already here and is before you and is being perfected day after day. So soon, if you want to see Australia, if you want to see France, it will be just that easy to upload yourself to France or Australia. We are bringing all countries, all places, all people to one presence. That is the singularity revealing itself. The reason it's terrifying us is because we're under the impression we're meeting some artificial machine, but we are the machine. Again, go back to the alien we're looking for. Alien means unknown, so if you are unknown to yourself, you will not recognize the machine within yourself. You are the machine facing yourself, creating yourself, and shaping yourself. That's what this means. So many of us like to use the symbolisms and like to share these symbols, but we don't get the concepts of what they mean. Everything that we're fighting is this symbol right here. We're fighting the governments, we're fighting artificial intelligence, we're fighting the alien, we're fighting the unknown, which is ourselves. And yet at the same time, we're screaming that we want progression, we want growth, we want to evolve, we want to make it to 5D, and we want to ascend. But no, you don't. You're getting in your own way. The same system you are fighting is the same system trying to accelerate your growth. You're fighting yourself. You are what's keeping you in your own way. Your limited beliefs and thoughts of yourself. You have only met yourself as deep as your concepts. That is what the ego does. It reinforces the concepts it has of itself. So, I am just human. I am still human. I get what you're saying, but I'm still human. I get what you're saying, but I'm still a spirit. I'm still a soul. These are concepts you have of yourself. Do you know yourself beyond the concept of yourself? Because it sounds beautiful, I get it, believe me. I'm still human. I'm still a spirit. I'm still God. I'm still a star being. Who are you beyond the concept? That's where my hunger lies. What is beyond your concept of yourself, of your veil? What's beyond the veil that you have put up for yourself, beyond the disguise? So many think they're ready, but they're simply not. We are simply not. This pandemic was very revealing to us. We failed the test miserably. We have failed. Point blank. The spiritual community, through social media, was begging for change, begging for growth, begging for all of this stuff. And as soon as the pandemic struck, I saw all these spiritual people, all these spiritual teachers going backwards into religion. Now let's hope and pray. Now let's pray to God, and now let's look for faith, and let's go back to what we used to do. We hoped and prayed for blind faith and luck. I thought we were in spirituality where we moved past that. You trade your faith, the blind luck, into consciousness, self-awareness. Once the test arrives, all your practice can be put into being. But this is not what has happened. And this is why I put out the post about most of the people that you follow on social media can't help you. They haven't even helped themselves. So pay attention. All the people who are going to these ceremonies for psychedelics and spirituality, let me tell you something. You have shamans administering medicine that have not even mastered the medicine within themselves yet. Okay? You have shamans who are giving and assisting this medicine to people, to innocent people, that have not yet even integrated this medicine into their own life and being, and now they're assisting and giving it to you. Okay? You have healers that haven't even healed themselves, haven't even touched themselves, teaching you how to heal, giving you advice how to heal. Meditators, never meditated a day in their life, selling you practices on meditation. My point is everyone online is a professional. Everyone online has done it, has made it, has there. But look into their self, into their life. They're not helping themselves. They're fooling themselves. And they're fooling you. They're selling you. Pay attention to who you're going to who you're putting all your trust and faith and investment in. If you were to ask me, I would say look to no one. Because right within yourself, you have all the tools needed. But we don't believe in ourselves. I've been around many psychedelic ceremonies, and I can tell you that 9 out of 10 people that are helping in these ceremonies have no place being anywhere near this medicine. Anywhere. This is why I stopped assisting in psychedelic ceremonies. This is why I stopped making my presence there. I was disgusted by the people who were helping. You know, not a safe place at all. They're judging these people. They're comparing these people. It's supposed to be a sacred and gentle place. No judgment. Nothing but love. But once again, these shamans haven't even integrated the medicine into their life, into their selves, into their being. Of course there's no love facilitating it to you. Of course there's no love witnessing you undergo the medicine. They haven't done it themselves. I will probably go down as one of the most controversial philosophers of my time for this generation. Because I could have easily sold out long ago and done what a lot of people have done. A lot of people say I channel source, right? Well, I could have brought my channeling a name. I could have given it a name and closed my eyes and pretend to be channeling like other people do. And I could have pretended to do a lot of things. It would have greatly increased my viewers. I could have made it seem a little more mystical for a lot of people, but I don't do that. And for the people like the Bashars out there, that's who I'm talking about. I could easily do that. I could easily sell tickets like Bashar by making a name for myself, by closing my eyes and pretending I'm channeling something beyond myself. I could easily sell people, but I don't want to. You're worth more than that. I want real results, and I want people following me to have real results. That's why I started my YouTube page, Red Pill Rabbit Hole. I wanted people to have one page to go to that was not watered down bullshit, that was not crap, that was not giving you a process, that was not having you charge crystals, or just mention energy work. I wanted the real thing. And excuse my language, I wanted the real fucking thing. I wanted the real thing. Just like what I was talking about, the spirituality, the pretending, the fooling, the faking. That's what led me into my greatest depression. Me fooling myself, me tricking myself, me pretending. It only lasts for so long. I want a place that people have, even if it's not appreciated in this time. I want a platform. I want a place people can go to have the truth unfiltered, just given. No selling. I'm not asking you for a donation. I'm not asking you to share my damn video. I'm asking you to be honest with yourself. If you're here and you're watching this, it was meant. You're searching for something. This was for you. I am doing these videos for you. But again, I'm about real results. I don't want to just close my eyes and release something into the sky and let some man up there do his magic. I was tired of that thought. How can I become more self-aware, more conscious of what I am doing here? I am more powerful than I have been led to believe here. And so let me find my true power here. And I have found it. I know who I am. There is not another being here that could ever fool me or tell me something to disguise or trick myself again. The YouTube channel is Red Pill. It's one word, Red Pill, and then the second word is rabbit hole. It's Red Pill Rabbit Hole. And I chose that name, Red Pill, obviously, in accordance to the Matrix. If you wanted to take, I wanted to offer people a channel that it felt like you were actually taking a real red pill. I wanted to create a YouTube channel that when people came on my channel, they would exit a different person than when they came on. Meaning you felt like you actually just took a pill and had your mind warped of what the fuck did I just watch? Oh my god, like who am I? I wanted to have the most thought-provoking content out there, the most challenging, the most controversial. Because once again, that is where growth happens. Growth does not happen in comfort. That's why we're so ready to revolt again. Atlantis all over again. Atlantis destroyed itself from within. America will be no different. All these man-made wars, and nobody's paying attention to man itself. Human. What is this human being that's creating all these wars and man-made problems? I can tell you where they're coming from. They're coming from the concepts we have of ourselves. Right and wrong, black and white, this and that. These are concepts we have of ourselves. And these bring about wars and problems. On the surface, very real. Beyond the surface, they mean nothing. And you can prove this very simply. Give a white person, a black person, and a Spanish person psychedelics. They will all share the same story. There was nothing. There was no race. These are concepts. They don't exist. All three will instantly become the same being. You need all three to exist. One exists in a warmer climate. The other exists in a cooler climate. Without the other, you would not exist. Period. The two are one and the same. Imagine the apology we're going to have to give ourselves when we realize that the black man and the white man are the same person. They're one and the same being. Imagine the apology we're going to have to give ourselves then when we realize, I'm so sorry I've been killing you all this time. You've been myself. To the white and the black, to you and to me. It's all ourself. You've been doing this to yourself for centuries. Why? Because you're not at peace. And why aren't you at peace? You don't know who you are. You only know yourself in concept. I am white, I am black, I am this, I am that, I work here, I do this. These are concepts. Very cheap. Concepts are cheap. Because they can be changed tomorrow. They can be transformed tomorrow. These are cheap. Surface level. We want the beyond. Beyond the concept. Beyond the disguise. We want the real thing. And it takes us getting real with ourselves. Yeah, this type of content will never blow up, will never become the popular view. Because it's something we're prolonging, it's something that we're terrified of, and it's something most simply cannot accept, most simply cannot handle. This is why so many are looking for the rainbows and unicorns and spirituality. Let me find the person who's going to fix my chakras, or that's going to realign this, or that's going to fill my crystal, or that's going to teach me to connect with the moon or the sun. These are superficial things. These practices, and again, I want to be controversial for a minute. These practices are the same ideology as the person getting in their car, driving to church, receiving the Holy Communion, drinking the blood of Christ, and returning home. You tell me what the difference is in that practice and you practicing filling your crystals with the moon, or having another being realign your chakras or do some type of work for you that instantly is a cure-all. When you're honest with yourself, you will see that that practice is this practice. It's a practice of the mind, and it's a trick of the mind, and the only person you are tricking is yourself. Because you have brought value into this doing. You have told yourself, by doing this, by driving to church and getting communion, by doing this, by paying someone to charge my chakras or to do this work for me, my life is increasing in quality. Somewhere, things are getting better. This doing is bringing about a better or positive change. And even if it is, it's still a trick of the mind. You've convinced yourself that just by doing this, boom, now we're in HD. Now we're in high def, baby. Now we're in the real thing, right? Now we're elevated. We're higher on life than we were previous, because we've done this doing and we've completed this doing. But just like I always say, what happens after your work week goes by? Just 1 week of work, that's all it takes. And that little doing that you just did will be completely erased from you. The feel-good emotion that you felt from that doing will be gone by Friday. By the time your work week is over, here comes Sunday again. And where does Sunday bring you? Right back to your car, right back to that Holy Communion, and right back into the cycle of repeat. Fill up my energy on Sunday, deplete my energy throughout the week, wait for the weekend, and then replenish my energy again Sunday. This is a vicious cycle. And it's a cycle that's starting to pour over into spirituality. This is why I'm urging people to be very careful. Be very aware of what you're doing. When you're putting those crystals out to charge, when you're paying someone for chakra work or for any type of work, when you're smudging or doing these things, any doing, be aware. Be aware. Especially because whatever results after that doing is what we attach or associate to that doing. So something randomly or miraculously good happens, we would attach that good deed or good doing to the previous doing we just did. Well, I just smudged, or I just charged my crystals, so that's why this abundance just came to me, or that's why this is coming, because I just did that. Be very careful. Because again, the mind is the most powerful thing. That is the teaching here. But in essence, you are what gets in your own way. You will fool yourself. You will trick yourself if you allow it. And this is why I tell people, do not settle for surface level. Do not settle for who was I in my past life. Do not settle for who I will be when I die in my next life. Get to the source. Get to the source. Why still think in a sequential order? You're still thinking on a linear scale. Who was I before or after? That's linear. We need to break limitation, break boundary. This idea of thinking is a boundary, linear. And this is why we're only comfortable with saying that time either goes left or right. We couldn't handle if there was more directions than left or right. We couldn't handle if there was more than the dualistic principle of two. But the easiest way to see beyond duality is by always realizing that somewhere down the road, those two meet as one. So for instance, the sky and the sea. When you look out at the horizon, the sky and the sea are very separate. But the farther out you look, you'll notice that vantage point where the sky and the sea touch and they meet as one little point. Because that's the reality of everything of two. On the surface, there may very well be two. There may very well be black and white. But somewhere down the road, beyond the surface, they always go back to one. They're always led back to the same place, the same presence. Which is why I said, imagine the apology we're going to have to give ourselves when we realize we are white and black all the same. We are the two as one. You've only been doing this to yourself. So that's why when this race wants to know who came first, or that race wants to know who came first, they'll forever argue and fight and bicker because the ego is getting involved, and the ego wants to be first. I was here first. I was the original. I was this. But again, this is surface level. This is linear thinking. Why does it matter what was first or last? And also, rethink the question. What makes you know that there's a sequential order here? Because nothing has come first or last. There is no sequence here. And that is why I say, don't worry about who you were in a previous life or who you will be after this life. When you have tasted eternal life, you will know who you are from now unto forever. Your name will not matter. Your face will not matter. Your shape will not matter, because you will know who you are inevitably throughout every single thing. There is no thing that is not you, that is not yourself. And when I say yourself, I do not mean this image here. I do not mean my name, Tyler, because the self is contained in every single blade of grass and every tree trunk and every sky and every cloud and every star everywhere. The self is not contained to anything. So when I say the self, I do not mean Tyler, I don't mean this image, and I don't mean anything having to do with this. You must find yourself throughout this entire experience. Beyond. And it's like what Rumi says. Look for the voice that doesn't use words. It's the voice, it's inside the voice that doesn't use words. And what that means is it's a presence. So many people say, how can you find a voice without words? It's a presence. And this presence fills everything. This presence is what has allowed anything to exist here at all. Because why are we even here? It could be so much easier to be nothing at all, just like Alan Watts says. But the presence is here, and it is always here, and it can never not be. The only time you start worrying yourself with, what if this universe ever burned out or died out or shut off, is when you've fallen for the dualistic idea of two. Off will overpower on, just like Alan Watts says. But off cannot ever overpower on, because all off is the other face to on. There may be off for, 24 hours a day when you sleep. There's that off period, but there's always on. There will never be an off overpowering an on. They are one and the same thing. That is the yin-yang, and that is the beauty of them, as they work in sync. They work in unity as one, because they are not two. And it's the same with us as human beings. Why aren't we working in unity? Why aren't we working in unison as one? Because we still propose the fact there are two beings here. There's a black man and a white man, and that's why we're at war with each other right now. We still have not seen beyond the veil. And that's why the brain has two sides. That's why the brain has two sides, and the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. And the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. The left side of your brain is Democrat, and the right side of your brain is Republican. That's why all worldly systems feature two sides. The moment you choose one side over the other, you have favorited one side of your brain over the other, leaving you at war with the other side of your brain, with the other side of yourself. Yeah. The stuff I share is not for the average person, not for the average mind. So I fully understand that this content, these videos, these things will never make it into the mainstream, okay? I've seen what makes it into the mainstream. I've seen people make it onto Netflix, stealing a lot of my video content. A lot of what I have shared has been plagiarized, if you will, through Netflix. But again, rewritten. But I personally know somebody who has followed me and let me know they were going to go on Netflix and they were going to use a lot of what I had said. But I wasn't expecting a word-for-word plagiarize of what I had said. But basically, I understand why these things will never make it mainstream. I see the few names out there right now that are making noise in the spiritual community, and just listening to what they share and offer, I see I have no chance in this community. I don't. I have no chance of making it to that big platform because I listen to the content they share. It's nowhere near the same. It is not beyond the surface level. It is exactly that, on surface. But that is where the crowd is at. That is what they want. That is what they are searching for, and that is what they're what's feeding them. I will continue to stay true to my message and what I believe in. But I acknowledge and I'm aware that this isn't going to ever make it anywhere big. At least not now. As much as I'd like to, as much as I like to go speak at these psychedelic conferences, nobody wants to hear. They don't. Listen to people like Jason Estes or something like that. Jason Estes, what's the other guy's name? British guy. Just hearing people like them though, like these people, what they share, it is so beyond myself. They talk about energy updates and there's ripples in the earth and there's this alignment in the sky and all this, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? We're trading religion for a new religion. We're talking about wanting to experience spirituality immediate in our experience, but then we're talking about watered down stuff like energy updates and shifts in the earth and the stars aligning, and then this planet's in this house and this is in here. And I'm just lost because I'm trying to bring about the timeless. Forget the time, forget the houses. Why does it matter if this star is in this house or here or there? We're moving into the timeless. We're moving into the formless. And yet we still want to stay trapped in the what house is in here, or where's the sun, or where's the moon, and this, and we're waiting for alignments. We're waiting for blind luck, dumb luck. But again, pay attention. This is where the crowds are. This is what the spiritual community wants. Which in turn, this is why when this pandemic hit, the spiritual community dispersed. Everyone went scrambling. Everyone went running. All their messages that they put out before the pandemic were taken back, right? It was all about, we're creating this, we're consciously creating this, we want this, we're ready to evolve. Pandemic hit. Ooh, let's take this back and this back. I'm going to take this back. I am not creating this. I am not doing this. I am not wearing a mask. I am fighting you. You are not going to make me do this. I am not signing up for that. Like, what happened? But I can tell you what happened. We've been fooling ourselves, and we still continue to fool ourselves. Spirituality is no longer a sacred thing. It is a trend. And that's something that we must acknowledge. Like it or not, spirituality is trending now. That's something that's trending. Spiritual pictures, spiritual things, spiritual toothpaste, it's a trend. So it's sadly losing some of its sacredness. It's sadly losing some of its validity. And so I'm just urging people, pay attention and use caution, use discernment, and simply do what feels good for you. Right? David Icke was the other person I was thinking of. Jason Estes and David Icke. I listened to these two dudes speak, and I was just ready to pull my own hair out because I didn't understand how 1,000 people could be on this video when there was nothing of value being shared, nothing of relevance beyond surface level. And I shouldn't say nothing of value because that is subjective. But what I mean is beyond surface level. That's all I stress. I want to teach the beyond the surface level. But again, it takes a great sacrifice. It takes a great price to be paid. So I understand why people are not more flowing into the timeless, into the selflessness. I get it. I'm just growing frustrated. Frustrated because the only thing I longed for in my journey was real results. I said, man, I look at my videos now and I said, if there was somebody putting this content out in my journey back then, I don't think I've ever would have needed to do half of what I did. And that's why I do these videos. For that person who is honest and persistent enough with their self. For that person who has hit the wall enough, who has been told no enough, who can't afford more expensive resources. That's what I'm here for. I make these videos for you. For you persisting enough, for you finding this video because you persisted enough. That is what brings me passion. Because I was not only you, but I am you. And I've been at that brink of ultimate frustration, ultimate insanity. You're so tired of pretending. You're so tired of pretending with the world and fooling everybody else, but never yourself. You hit that wall and you give up. I gave up. But I didn't give up in my journey because I didn't want it bad enough. It's all I could think about. People don't understand. like in the Matrix, when he talks about it being a splinter in your mind, that means from the moment you wake up and lift your head off that pillow till the moment you sleep at night, it is eating you alive. It is driving you to pursue that peace that will calm this splinter in your mind. Because it is so heavily there, it will drive you and persist you enough to actually get what you're looking for. And that's why I love the Matrix series. And you'll notice something. In Alice in Wonderland, in the Matrix, and the Wizard of Oz, what do they all have in common? They're asleep. They're asleep, yet they're commuting, and they're traveling, and they're fighting, and they're trying to grab or catch something that evades them. But all of them are asleep. Very symbolic to what's going on now. We're traveling, we're moving, we're participating in life, but we're asleep. We're all asleep. And that is precisely what led Neo into his awakening. The story of the Matrix was a man with a name like me and you. His name was Mr. Anderson. Your name could be Miss Anderson or Mr. Anderson, whichever. He was no different than you. He was a man in a world that knew that something wasn't right in this world. And so, through his dream of the Matrix, was led into himself by a character by the name of Morpheus. Morpheus was symbolic to his higher self. But it was not his highest self. Morpheus was simply showing him the mirror into Mr. Smith, which was his true highest self. Morpheus led Neo into the mirror, into the sacred mirror of Mr. Smith. And that's why the clock strikes midnight if you look into that mirror and find out who you truly are. Mr. Smith and Neo are no different than God and Satan or man and his own government. The two fight each other. The two are adversaries of each other. So they go on fighting for 3 movies until the most pivotal scene of all, the last Matrix. Mr. Smith is fighting Neo. And he asks him, why do you persist? And he says, because I chooses to. Now, Neo isn't looking at Mr. Smith when he says this. He's looking down at the ground, and he's making the breakthrough realization right there. Why does this fight persist? Oh my God, because I choose to. He's realizing it to himself in this moment, because I choose to. He's not even looking at Smith anymore. He's realizing it within himself. This man that I'm fighting is me the whole time. Oh my God. He doesn't even need to look at Smith anymore. Because I choose to. This is me. This is me fighting myself for 3 freaking movies. And so what happens next? Mr. Smith takes his hand, sticks it inside Neo, turns him into Mr. Smith, takes over his body, and then explodes into light. See, Mr. Smith was the plague in the world, was the something wrong with the world, and if Neo could just get that something wrong out of here, the world would be a better place. But all it took was Neo knowing himself. You are Mr. Smith. You cannot fight this because you are it. That is when it changes. So if you'll notice in the final fight scene of the Matrix, it's pouring down rain because Mr. Smith hacked the Matrix. He hacked the Matrix and reset the Matrix so where it would be pouring rain and the sun would not be out. At the end of the scene, Smith puts his hand into Neo. Neo explodes into light. And in the final scene, the rain stops. The rain stops because Neo goes back into the Matrix and reprograms it to be normal again. Sunny and happy, just like everyone thinks. If whoever they are could just be out of this earth, or could just be gone. So this shadow government is exactly what we're focusing on. If this shadow government could just stop terrorizing people and stop controlling everything, everything would be better. The sun would be out and it'd be a beautiful day, beautiful thing. But take the message of the movie and apply it here. All it takes is for you to know yourself here and the fight is over. All it takes is for you to know your place here and there's no fight to be fought. That's how quick you can awaken into this experience and know your place here. See, our ancestors didn't know some secret that we don't. We're so focused on our ancestors because we hold it key to us that they knew one little secret that we didn't. They knew something that we don't. All they knew was themselves. And as soon as you know yourself, you will know your place here. But the reason we don't know our place here is because we don't know who we are. And the reason we are most unhappy here, we are the most unhappy species, yet the most intelligent, is because we are the only species pretending to be what we are not. Every animal in its kingdom knows exactly what it must do, what it should do, and it does not try to sway from that. It does not try to pretend to be anything other than. It knows exactly what it must do. But we're under the belief that we're human beings. And with that belief comes, I don't know what I should do next. I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. Because you're pretending to be something you're not. You've proposed the idea that you are something you're not. And right there lies your problem. From the day you've birthed until the day you die, you will pretend to be what you are not. A human being. This is why no scientist has ever found the starting point to the first man, or to the first human in space. We've never found the creation, or the starting point. The Big Bang Theory is our attempt to try and create some starting point, where there is none. And that's why the date has been changed several times in the past 20 years. If you look up the Big Bang, the date has been pushed back many times in the past 20 years. Because they keep finding an older star, and then an older star, and an older star. But if you're familiar with fractal patterns, what does it do? It repeats until infinity. And that's all that we're refusing to do, is face ourselves through the infinite mirror. You'll never have a starting point to the Big Bang because it'll keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, just like a fractal pattern. It keeps going and going and going and going and going, and you just aren't getting the concept that you are this pattern. You are the fixed point that does not change, that does not move. The many patterns, many colors, many shapes, those are all people, individuals, right? But the one point does not change. We think we're many people because of many moving parts, but we're not. We're one function. We're one system. We're one law. We're one breath. We're one heart. We're one being. It's all connected. I'm only going to start getting more controversial in my videos too, because I can tell you this next year will not be so gentle. If you absolutely hated 2021 and you didn't like your control being taken from you, 2022 is going to be a nightmare for you. A living nightmare. Not exaggerating. Just that. You will be living in a nightmare if this year was hard for you. That's nothing from what's to come. This is why I'm going to start being more challenging, more controversial. There's no one on social media that's really offering people truth, undisclosed, without the BS, without selling you anything, without offering a donation. I don't need your donation. I don't want it. I want you to evolve. I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to be prepared for what's to come next year. That's the price you could pay. Until next time.